preseason games. How do you think that this group kind of gelled in those kind of warm-up games, and how much further ahead are you now compared to where you were going into this?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it's a fun group to play with and to watch. When we get it going, we can make a lot of shots, and we can make a lot of shots in a hurry, and there's a lot of different guys that can contribute for us. So it's just a fun group to be a part of. We got to see some things. When you're playing against yourself for whatever it's been, 4 or 5 months, like you kind of figure out what your offense likes to do and what your defense likes to do. So to see BYU's length and athleticism, the way Midland was scrappy, like that was good for us to see the way the other teams compete, and how can we kind of take from what they did and how did they stop us. So it was just good to play somebody else and to see what they were doing to slow us down.
What do you see as the kind of like, as you've gotten to know this specific group better, as kind of like the stylistic differences of what's distinct about this team, I guess, versus last year?
I mean, I think the three-point shooting obviously is a huge one. Like we shot, I don't know what the number was, but 40-plus threes in the last game. And that's not something we would do in the last couple of years, obviously. But I also think this team's going to have to find our identity defensively. And when things, like Coach has said a million times, when things don't go in, we're going to have to be a team that gets stops and that manufactures stops on the other end. And then that can lead us into transition to get us some easy baskets. So I think it all starts on the defensive side of the ball for us because we know our offense will come along at some point.
How does that affect you? You mentioned the three-point shooting when you're a distributor, especially when you're playing point. Does that affect how you approach things or look to set guys up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just we really talk about we don't need to take a tough shot at the rim because oftentimes that leads to you falling down and the other team going to transition. So if we can, pass up a contested layup, which is the least efficient shot in basketball, one of the least efficient shots, to get an open three, like we absolutely love that, right? We have shooters all over the place that are capable, more than capable, to knock down shots. So yeah, we want to be smart with our shots and to get those guys looks, like continue to hunt Price, the Connors, the Bradens, Rink made 7-3. Like, find those guys and let them get rolling.
How do you feel like you can help the team find their defensive identity or just full-on identity on the court with just how much the coaches trust you and all this?
Yeah, I think just being a guy that stabilizes things, right? Like when we're in a bad way or we are in a disadvantaged situation, like how can I get us out of that? And not be a guy that causes issues, but be a guy that fixes them. And that's kind of what I'm going to pride myself on throughout this year. Is like when we're in tough spots, how can we get out of them and get us back to being set, and ultimately get a stop and get a rebound. So.
Cale, with how last year ended for you, both personally and for this team, what's the feeling like being a couple days out?
We're pumped. Yeah, I mean, there's just a level of excitement walking into the gym. Like you get those first 2 exhibition games. And it feels good to just kind of get those out of the way. And now, like Coach said, it's for real. And so to continue to work hard, play together, that's what we're focused on. But there's definitely an excitement level in the gym as we move forward.
What did the end of last season do for you, and how are you looking to even capitalize, exceed what that was?
Yeah, I think it was just what's the word? It was a level of, like, I just kind of proved to myself that I can be here, that I can do this at this level. We played some really good teams in the Crown. Boise was a top 50 team in the country. They probably thought they should have been in the tournament, but got to play them, got to compete at a high level. And so now coming into this year, like, just finding my spot on this team, it's a very different group. And how can I be a leader on the court to get guys open looks?
I know we've seen Rink in exhibition play, but now it starts for real. How much of a motivator was that to see him work his way back to this point where he can do this year?
Yeah, someone asked me, like, what was the highlight of the first couple games, and it was truthfully just to see Rink, like, on the court and in a jersey again, because it had been so long, and just to see how hard it was on him to not be a part of the group last year. On the court, obviously he was in practice and all the things, but to see him now step back into that leadership role on the court, and then to bury 7 threes, like that's just what he dreams of. And my dad said that he was in front of Rink's parents, and they just were back there cracking up every time he hit a three, their little European laughs. But they were just having a blast. So it's just been really cool, and he's just a great leader. He's a great guy to have a part of our program.
Is there an example in a recent practice or one of the exhibitions where you were the guy that fixed something like you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can think of a specific example, but like we switch a lot on the perimeter, and so if we mess a switch up and a guy gets downhill, like we're at a disadvantage. And so how can we either stop the ball and make him shoot a floater or get a deflection on a pass? Like just doing the simple things that can limit, make shots least efficient. That's what basketball is right now, is how can we force guys into least efficient shots. And so how can we do that as a defense?
Backtracking a little bit, obviously your family has a huge connection to Midland, but what was it like looking over there and seeing your dad in the Midland t-shirt?
Well, he told me before the game, so I just ignored him. I shunned him. But I'm not. I mean, he's obviously went there. My brother went to school there. He knows Coach Irwin really well, and he obviously I know Coach pretty well from his Omaha days. So I wasn't. I mean, I got it. It was whatever. He was having a blast with it. He had a Nebraska hat on, but he's just a goofball.
Anything else for Cale?
You given any thought to Fred just kind of throwing out there that, hey, you'd make a good coach one day?
I mean, it'd be cool. Obviously, he'd be an awesome guy to work for if that's what it comes to. The way that he runs this program, I like to think I have a pretty good understanding of how he does things. But then also just to see what it's like upstairs. You know, like we get to go upstairs and meet with coaches, but what does the day-to-day look like? Like that's something that I'm always curious about. So I think it would be fun and cool, and if that's an opportunity that opens up, I would absolutely love that. So.
Did you talk to like Charlie or anybody about that?
Yeah, I mean, our GAs, we have a good relationship with our GAs. We spend a lot of time with those guys, just our afternoon workouts. They kind of are our rebounders for shots, and so they have to be careful with the information they divulge, but they're just a good group of guys that we have in the GA position, and they've been a lot of fun to work with.
In what ways has you gotten better from last year?
I think my jump shot was just one thing we continue to work on. That's been a thing since I got here. How can I be more consistent with that? Like we have guys all over the place that can make shots, but to be one of those guys that when I get an open look, when somebody goes and rotates to Connor or to Price, and I'm the one more guy, like I got to knock it down, and that's just part of basketball. So that's obviously one. And then just continuing to learn like where guys are on the floor and how can we get them a shot. You know, so what's the play that gets it to Price in the strong side corner? What's the play that gets it to Connor on the weak side? Continue to understand and to see those things in live action.
Anything else for Cale?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.